That means we're talking about research for prostate cancer. And obviously this is huge. Home runs hit, raising a lot of money around Major League Baseball.
We sure are. This is our 22nd year. You can go to homerunchallenge.org or pcf.org and learn all about it. But every home run hit from June 1st to June 18th counts, and you can pledge money. And you have those phenomenal research organizations right there in St. Louis, where a lot of the money goes.
How many years? You said it's been 20 plus, but how much money has been raised with this?
Over $45 million, and the death rates dropped by more than 50%, and we're not too far away from making prostate cancer, thanks to Major League Baseball and Fox and the St. Louis Cardinals. And we're moving it to the history books.
And the players love this. They get behind it big time.
Well, I'm wearing our Father's Day jersey. All the players on Father's Day, June 18th, will be out in the field with these jerseys. You can't see it, but I've got my red socks on today for the game.
How did you get involved with this?
Well, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in '93. I'd been funding cancer research for 20 years, knew nothing about prostate cancer, and when it was over, I had a life-threatening disease, and luckily I'm here with you 22 years later, and it's more than luck. All the work done and the awareness that's occurred, and when we see all that red in the Cardinals Stadium, we know that we're going to raise a lot of money for Wash U, but the treatments have changed, 5 new drugs, even people that have failed surgery, hormone treatment, radiation, drugs like abiraterone and others have put it into suspended animation.
Well, one more time, where can people donate? And again, how long will this go?
Well, you can go to pcf.org or homerunchallenge.org and learn all about the program. And today there's more than 1.5 million men alive, greatly due to the funds we've raised from this home run challenge, Keep Dad Alive, Major League Baseball, and the world champion Cardinals.
Let's hope that's the case. No, not last year.
You've got every year world champion team fans.
Michael Milken. There's Michael Leake signing some autographs. We've got baseball coming up. Thank you so much. Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light, famous among friends. by Chevy Silverado. The most dependable, longest lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Find yours at your local Mid-America Chevy dealer. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Absolutely gorgeous day here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. The north side, and along with Tim McCarver, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is here as well. 81 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. This is about as good as it gets if you're a baseball fan.
Does not get any better, Daniel.
Joe Maddon trying to turn things around with his club. It has been a different year than 2016 in terms of their pitching, their hitting, especially with runners in scoring position, and their defense.
I think Al Raboski put it very well. 21 games over last year at this time, 2 games under this year. That's 23 games difference.
It's a big, big difference.
Woo.
Chicago 25-27, 3 games back of Milwaukee. The Cardinals a game above the 500 mark and a game and a half out behind Milwaukee. Dexter Fowler just received his World Series ring from his former teammates. Nice moment here at the ballpark. He'll lead it off, followed by Matt Carpenter and Steven Piscotty. Then Yadier Molina, Johnny Peralta, Aledmys Diaz, Paul DeYoung, Magneuris Sierra, and the pitcher batting ninth, Lance Lynn. On the mound for the Chicago Cubs, it'll be the 38-year-old John Lackey, and a look at his Hyundai pitch arsenal.
Talking about a guy who has seen everything. 23 postseason starts for 4 different teams, 3 World Series rings to his credit. 2002 Game 7 for the Angels, becoming the youngest winner of a Game 7 in the history of the game.
So Lackey on the mound, and the defense for the Cubs around the horn is presented by Dobbs. Schwarber in left, Ian Happ in center, Jason Hayward is in right. Bryant, Russell, Zobrist, and Rizzo on the infield, and Miguel Monteiro is behind the plate.
Dan, I said in the history of the game, in 93 years, that's good enough. That's kind of like the history of the game.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We get your drift.
Yeah, the one thing about Dexter, he just received his World Series ring. The one thing you do is you put it away. You don't wear it your first at bat. What a moment.
Yeah. 108 diamonds on that ring.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. Good going. I didn't know that.
Well, the Cubs defensively, only 3 teams have allowed more earned runs than the Cubs. 27 this year. This was a very good defensive club a season ago.
The best in baseball for runs prevented defensively.
And a strike from John Lackey, 1-1. Fowler may have gotten the largest ovation for a Cardinal since Stan the Man's 3,000th hit in 1958 here at Wrigley. I can't think of the last time.
As a pinch hitter, right?
As a pinch hitter.
Called by the great Harry Carey, the inimitable Harry Carey.
The 2-1 pitch by Lackey.
Well, that's a rarity. John Lackey coming out and falling behind 3-1. It's a good hitting situation for Fowler. He'll get a fastball. Wind blowing out to left field. The off field for Dexter.
3-1 is pulled foul. Remember the mantra last year for the Cubs, in particular with Fowler from Joe Maddon. As you go, we go. And that was the case. Last year, when he was in the lineup, the Cubs were 80-38. 23-20 without him. That's big. Fowler a drive. Welcome back to Wrigley, Mr. Fowler. Solo home run to start the game. Put the ring away. It's 2017.
As Dexter goes, so go the Cardinals.
There's a lot of truth to that, too.
Boy, was that ball hammered into the wind in right field. Did not get up too high, And sure enough, the Cubs throw the ball back. That's no way to treat Dexter. Come on.
Long home run by Fowler, 1-0 the lead. And a strike to Matt Carpenter.
It's a problem with the starting pitcher falling behind. You could just feel it. You didn't know Dexter would hit a home run, but you knew he would have a good at bat.
0-2 the count. We hear more and more about pitching up in the zone, and that has been something the Cubs have wanted to do. The Cardinals are being pitched that way. When I asked one of the Cubs personnel about that, I said, even at this ballpark, and they said yes, that's what we want. Fly ball lifted to left. Schwarber backing up, and he makes the catch for the first out.
Well, to me, number one, just to make a blank statement like that is farcical. Because if you got a sinker baller out there, what are you going to tell a guy to throw high sinkers? High sinkers end up where Dexter just hit that ball. Joe Madden knows that.
Brings in Piscotty in the third spot in the lineup, hitting .240. Missed 5 games after his mother was diagnosed with ALS, his mother Gretchen. Two 2-0 the count. John Lackey had 7 scoreless innings in a start in, of all places, Colorado. You take that start out of what he's done this year, his ERA is 5.90. Wow. Popped up to the right side. Hayward coming on, and it drops. It's a base hit. Falls between Hayward, Zobrist, and Rizzo.
Now, Stephen Piscotty was on the disabled list, at 10-day list for a bad hamstring. Normally he'd be on second base. I think normally he should be on second base. That ball had a lot of hang time. Not running full speed, watching the ball. But you got to give him a pass, because turning around, sometimes a catcher will follow that play down there, and you may have a play behind him.
Molina skies one down the left field line. Yachty 2 for 15 on the homestand after a 16-game hitting streak. And the 0-1 pitch to Yadier Molina. We know that a lot of things get under the skin of Lackey when he's on the mound. Shifts, maybe poor defense behind him, a strike zone. You can only wonder what's going through his mind after that bloop base hit by Piscotty.
He has been known to glare at his infield, and occasionally he's farsighted enough to glare at his outfield.
You feel his presence when he's on the mound.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing for a pitcher to have a reputation like that, but that is John Lackey. That's who you get.
Missouri Lottery Fox tracks in a strikeout of Yadier Molina, and it brings in Johnny Peralta. Jed Jerko is with his family after the birth of their daughter. So Jerko is out, Peralta in, and that is a foul ball. Remember the
just barely, huh, Dan?
Yeah, and I was thinking it was going to go right into the bullpen of the Cubs, but they've taken those out.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Odd to see Wrigley like that. Appropriate, but odd. Now there's no place in the ballpark that you see the relievers warming up.
Nope. Hit sharply to short, and Russell stays with it and makes a nice play. The Cardinals get a leadoff home run from Dexter Fowler. All 8 this season from the left side of the plate. Solo home run, his 8th of the year, 1-0 after a half inning. The Cubs hit .216 in May. Ian Happ leads it off, followed by Kris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, then Zobrist, Hayward, Monteiro, Schwarber, Russell, and the pitcher John Lackey. And the Cardinals turn to Lance Lynn and a look at his Hyundai pitch arsenal. A lot of fastballs.
Almost 4 out of 5 are fastballs. The cutter, another 14% of the time. An occasional curve and an occasional changeup. There are 2 hitters in the lineup, to me, that are going to give Lynn trouble today. And that's Rizzo and Schwarber, because of fastballs trying to get inside on him. He's had trouble with Rizzo in the past, and an ailing Schwarber, the Cubs are hoping that that's what he needs.
We saw Ian Happ make his major league debut in St. Louis. Hit .357 in his first 8 games. His last 8, .071. 9th overall pick out of the University of Cincinnati in 2015. The 2-0 pitch. And Tim, really the Cubs are trying to figure out who can bat leadoff for this team after the departure of Fowler. They thought it could be Schwarber, thinking outside the box. It just hasn't worked, at least not yet.
Schwarber entering today's action after the first 2 months, batting .165. 60 strikeouts and 171 plate appearances.
They've used Happ, Schwarber, Zobrist, Baez. All have tried the leadoff spot. And Schwarber was hitting second, and he drops down to 7th in the lineup. First time this year. Grounder that's hit to short. Diaz makes the play, and there's one away.
I go back to Casey Stengel's meeting after the 1962 Mets came in after their last game. The game ended with a triple play hit by the Mets. And Casey said, "Boys, I just want you to know that not 1 or 2 of you could have done this. It was a team effort." Winners of 40 games and losers of 120.
It's a great line.
They're wonderful. Only Casey.
Here's Kris Bryant. Slow start, first week and a half of the season, but back to typical Bryant numbers. 11 home runs, 23 driven in, 6 walks in his last 4 games.
That's the one thing about the Cubs that have kept them afloat. When they weren't hitting, particularly last year, they will take a walk. All their hitters 1 through 8 will take walks.
The real issue for the Cubs is the fact that they do get on base, generally speaking, in their games this year. They can't drive them in. They're hitting .209 with runners in scoring position, ahead of only the Kansas City Royals in all of baseball. And a fly ball out to Fowler. A few steps in and makes the catch. The Cardinals defensively with Magneuris Sierra called up in the spot of Jerko, so he's in left. Fowler in center, Piscotty in right. Peralta, Diaz, DeYoung, Carpenter on the infield, and Molina is behind the plate. All the Cardinals did when he was in the lineup was win games. Sierra.
Boy, did he make his mark in a hurry. An indelible mark.
Here's Anthony Rizzo.
That's the pitch that Lynn needs, for me at least, against Anthony Rizzo. He stands right on top of the plate. You've got to have a pitch you can come inside, bite him inside, and then go away. Because his away is not the normal away. He's right on top of the plate.
Because he is so close to the plate, hit by a lot of pitches, leads the league with 12 of those.
Again.
Well, most of the Cubs regrouped after the road trip. 0-6 on the trip. Anthony Rizzo got engaged last night.
How about that?
That's about as close as you can get
without being out of the batter's box.
That's right. We always talk about the other side or the back of the box being out of the box. You can be out of the box on the inner portion of the plate.
Sure. Most guys are not called on that because most guys respect the pitcher from coming inside, but not Rizzo. He almost makes the pitcher go away from it.
Like that. So 2-2 the count.
Good changeup from Lynn.
It's the 6-year anniversary of Lynn's debut with the St. Louis Cardinals. He was a starter against the Giants, went 5 1/3, and he's part of the World Championship Club as a member of the bullpen. He had a vital role, and we didn't see it when he was a starter. Went to the bullpen, was hitting 97, 98 on the gun in 2011, and was a weapon out of that pen for Tony La Russa. Just missed. So a 2-out walk, and it brings in Zobrist. Zobrist was 0 for 3 on Wednesday, the final day of that trip, which snapped an on-base streak of 25 consecutive games. 247. Better side of the plate for him average-wise has been this side, 268 as opposed to 184 on the right side.
Rizzo's at first. He's not a fast base runner, but he's a very good base runner. Lynn has a very difficult time holding runners close.
And there's strike one. To give you an idea of how tough the trip was offensively for the Cubs. 6 games, a total of 9 runs. In 4 of the 6, they had 3 hits or less. Well, think about that with this lineup.
Gosh.
They hit 152, and they went 3 for 40 with runners in scoring position in those 6 games.
3 for 40.
3 for 40. Here's the 0-1. And we talked about it at the beginning of the season. We saw the Cubs come through a couple of times to Busch Stadium. If the pitching would let you down or the defense would let you down, with all the names and the big names in this lineup, you felt that this might be the best offensive club, not only in the National League, but maybe in baseball. Two and one the count. And a ground ball backhanded by Carpenter.
Pickett Wilson.
He had 2 very good picks in yesterday's game too. 1-0 after 1. The Cardinals average with runners in scoring position 230, 24th in Major League Baseball. We mentioned earlier the Cubs. Only the Royals have a worse average with runners in scoring position. Here's Aledmys Diaz.
Dick Groth, the great shortstop, MVP for the Pittsburgh Pirates in '60. Then a great player for the Cardinals in the middle '60s. Used to say, you get out of it the way you got in it. Battle your rear end off.
Yep. Long year trying to turn things around, the trends around. Here's a 1-1.
Aledmys trying to be a little more selective when he's ahead in the count.
The 2-1. Up the middle and a base hit. Lackey looking back at his catcher Monteiro as if to say, how could he hit that pitch?
The real good major league hitters are guys, when they're ahead in the count, they use that to get a better pitch, because a pitcher, think about it, a pitcher is not going to throw pitches on the corner when he's behind. He's going to use the middle of the plate, and the middle of the plate is yours as a major league hitter.
What a thrill it must be for Paul DeYoung. Grew up in Antioch, Illinois, about an hour outside of Chicago. A lot of family and friends are here. He said the majority, he was telling me yesterday, majority of his buddies are all Cub fans. I said, well, what about you? He said, I grew up watching the Braves on TBS, so the Braves were my favorite team, even though I went to a lot of Cub games and White Sox games. He said his favorite player growing up, Chipper Jones, who wore number 10. And he said, obviously, they're not going to give me number 10 here. That's been retired. Tony La Russa's number. He idolized Derek Jeter as well. So he's got the secret weapons number 11. We'll see if that sticks for a while.
Secret weapon, of course, Jose Oquendo.
That gets through Monteiro to the backstop, and Diaz advancing to second base.
Well, that ball just ate Monteiro up. Looked like a cutter or a slider. Hit the heel of the glove, bounced away from Monteiro. He couldn't find it.
You being a former catcher, are those the toughest, the sliders?
Not really. Breaking balls, you go down with them. The breaking balls you're anticipating are in the dirt. It's the fastball that's in the dirt that is the toughest to handle, because you're not anticipating.
Breaks his bat, popped up, and the second baseman Zobrist has it. Go big when the Cardinals go big. Coffee, fountain, frozen drinks, any size drink, 50 cents the next day at On the Run. Redbird scores 6. Keep the celebration going. Stop by On the Run tomorrow for a thirst quenching win. You earned it. Here's Sierra. He is hit in all 7 games he's played in. 11 for 30. That's a .367 average. Up the middle. He's hit now in all 8 he's played in. Run will score. Magneuris. Sierra makes it 2-0.
Good hitting, poor base running by a good base runner. I guess Sierra's thinking, well, Lance Lynn's going to be the hitter. He's going to bunt me over anyway. So why take a chance? But that ball was airmailed by Ian Happ, missing the cutoff man severely. Sierra can walk to second, elects to stay at first. Cardinals with another run in. There's vintage Lackey after that pitch. In other words, he should be behind the catcher, and he's standing on the mound getting mad at himself or someone.
Lynn bunts it sharply to Rizzo. Out there. Double play. Left-handed throwing first baseman makes that play a lot easier than the right-handed throwing first baseman. Double play to end the threat. It's 2-0. Bottom of the second, it's 2-0 Cardinals, and we check in with Jim Hayes.
Dan, Dexter Fowler got his World Series ring this afternoon, but he kind of knew what to expect. He said some of his ex-teammates, Anthony Rizzo and Kris Bryant, visited him when the Cubs were in St. Louis. Fowler said he asked Rizzo how big the rings were. He said Rizzo put a big glass of water and held it over his finger. That big. Now, Dexter pulled a huge crowd of media before the game. Some of them were pressing Fowler about his slow start. Dan, Dexter told him, they say it's a marathon. I'm going to keep doing it, and hopefully it will even out.
Well, I was telling Tim before the game, I think that Fowler has done since day one a great job of not reliving last year. He's been asked about it time and again. He was part of a very tight-knit group. And every time he says, while I enjoyed my experience in Chicago, I have great friends. They can never take away what we did. I'm turning the page, and hopefully you are as well. I'm now wearing Cardinal red, and this is where I need to be.
Yeah, I think for the most part, all of his answers have been appropriate and pertinent.
Jason Hayward with a drive into right center. Fowler backing up near the ivy and has it on the track. Wind, as you mentioned earlier, Tim, blowing in just a bit and from right to left, and it knocked it down.
And you might be thinking, well, what about Dexter Fowler? Where Dexter Fowler hit it so low that the wind didn't have a chance to affect it. That ball went above the stands, above the scoreboard, actually. So the wind could affect it for Lance Lynn and the Cardinals. Just a long out. That ball is normally gone, though.
Oh, yeah.
On a normal day here at Wrigley.
It's in the middle of the bleachers.
Oh, yeah.
So here's Monteiro, 21 for his last 57. He's been one of the hotter hitters in their lineup. That's a .368 average, and the first pitch is popped up and out of play.
We've talked over the last several years about Monteiro having problems with his hand, his catching hand. Matter of fact, 3 years ago, he had 3 operations on the bone right below the index finger. That's the bone that suffers the most from catchers. Had bleeding internal. It was ugly looking, and no doubt, I think that would be his top hand. Can't top hand it for a guy that's good power.
0-2. We talked about it, I think it was a couple years ago, but you showed me your hands, and I said, we really take for granted, don't we, what a catcher goes through, the physical pounding, and in particular, that left hand of a catcher.
To the point where I think it would be interesting to see how many lazy fly balls a catcher on a good pitching staff hits to left field,
yeah, or
the opposite field, particularly if they're left-handed hitters, as is Monteiro. You just don't have the top hand action later in the game.
And there's a base hit into right center. Piscotty gets it back in quickly, and one out hit for Miguel Monteiro. There have been rumblings that maybe the Cubs would send Kyle Schwarber back to the minor leagues to tune up, have some positive things go his way, and then bring him back.
I've never really seen anything like it. A guy who missed the entire season, a couple of at-bats early, messed up his knee in a collision, and then came back with only batting practice and played and did so well in the World Series.
And I think we all, and maybe the Cubs too, took for granted that he would just come back, and that's the kind of hitter he's going to be. He missed essentially an entire year.
That's right. But he's a tough assignment for Lance Lynn.
He was 7 for 17 in the World Series as the DH for the Cubs. After playing in a total of 2 games, after the collision in left center in Arizona, and his regular season was done.
Dangerous pitch coming up. because Lance Lynn has fallen behind entirely too much. Strike one, strike two, the biggest pitches in the game. Guys struggling like this, it would be like Joe Madden to turn him loose on a 3-0 count.
You're going to get a pitch to hit, more than likely a fastball.
Right.
Why not? And he could tie this game up with one swing. His last two hits have been home runs. He has a total of 8. Joe Madden saying before the game that Schwarber is going to stay in this lineup. They are scheduled to face right-handed pitching their next 8 straight, including today.
I don't think he's going to start against left-handers, but against right-handers, particularly the ilk of Lynn. And he went after a bad ball. That was ball 4. That the trait of a young hitter that's struggling.
Molina took one off the hand in yesterday's game. That one off the glove that caught him a little funny.
Yeah, rattled around in the end near the heel of the hand, but it hit the thumb first.
Schwarber a swing and a miss, and as Tim mentioned earlier, that is now 61 strikeouts for Kyle Schwarber.
Good job by Lance Lynn to come back to get a struggling hitter.
Brings in Addison Russell, who also is struggling. Last 27 games, he's only hitting 146 on the year. It's now dropped to 216. Only 23 years of age, already 2 full years of big league time. And the pitch is popped out behind home plate and out of play. Runner at first is Monteiro, and Carpenter backing up a few steps, not holding him on the traditional way at the back, but moving back with 2 outs and a right-handed batter up. The 0-1. And it's 0-2, paints the outside corner. Paul Nart, he drew the short straw today, behind the plate for Lynn and Lackey. Good luck. A couple of guys that probably don't come to the ballpark in very good moods. Strikeout of Russell.
That'll put him in a better mood, I'll tell you.
Back-to-back Ks. And we played 2 from Wrigley. Cardinals on top. Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. And by your local St. Louis area Volkswagen dealers. It's a breezy day here at Wrigley, blowing from right field to left and a little in. As we saw as that ball was knocked down off the bat of Hayward.
Almost no humidity, though. It's just one of those rare days. There's an expression in baseball: the trouble with hello is goodbye. Well, Dexter Fowler said hello to the Cubs last year, won a World Series rings, and goodbye to a fastball his last time up.
That got out in a hurry.
Oh, man. Hitting it under the wind.
So 8 home runs for Fowler, all 8 from this side of the plate. 7 of the 8 have given the Cardinals a lead. And he drives this out to his buddy Hayward. A sinking liner hit on the button. RBI Baseball 2017. It is yours to pick up. Fast-paced MLB action packed with all your favorite teams, players, and ballparks. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Pitch taken inside by Matt Carpenter.
Who do you think wanted that pitch? John Lackey.
And I'll tell you what, when he was in St. Louis, he was very good, especially at Busch Stadium.
Oof.
And in the days that he didn't pitch and you'd go to talk to him, he was great.
Yeah.
Good insight.
I wouldn't say delightful, but he was great.
And he was, loved to talk about what he was doing down in Texas, where he lives, and hunting and fishing, and what keeps him busy, how much longer he wanted to play. He told me a couple of years ago that he was looking at 3 more years, so this would be 2 of those 3 years. And he said at that point I'll reevaluate where I'm at, but he said I feel good, I feel healthy. 2-1.
He was a rookie in 2002. Joe Madden was the bench coach for Mike Scioscia and the Los Angeles Angels at Anaheim. And Joe has said that he's in better shape today than he was in 2002, 15 years ago.
A little heavier back there for then for sure.
Yeah.
2013 he was with the Boston Red Sox. His teammate then was John Lester. Those 2 teammates a year ago. Matt now his manager with the Cubs that won in 2016. (3-2) pitch and a fly ball lifted out to center field. Ian Happ is there. 2 down. So Carpenter 0 for 2. Here's Stephen Piscotty. This date in 1935, Babe Ruth announces his retirement at the age of 40. 714 home runs. And how it pertains to Wrigley Field, many of you have heard about the called shot of Babe Ruth. That happened in the 1932 World Series Game 3 here at Wrigley.
Against Charlie Root, was the right-handed pitcher on an 0-2 count. The Yankees were very upset, from what I've read, at the Cubs discounting a World Series share for one of the players that was a former Yankee. That made the Yankees mad. So Ruth decided against Root to point, or did he point?
It's been the great debate.
Inconclusive.
Right. I've seen some of the video and the pictures of it.
Yeah.
It's tough to tell.
You just don't know.
I'll say he pointed. It sounds better.
Yeah, it does.
Strikeout of Piscotty. And the second of the afternoon for John Lackey. Midway through 3 here at Wrigley. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. They call that the Park, which is part of the improvements here around Wrigley Field, which will include, before it's all said and done, hotels and restaurants, some business space as well. Ricketts family took this franchise over and trying to improve the area in terms of some of the area that they bought, the land, with the retail and hotels and restaurants.
I was talking to Joe Madden before the game. Both of us were, as a matter of fact, and he mentioned that he will have a restaurant across the street, and he wants to have after the game chats. He said that's a disappearing thing in baseball. He thinks it would be fun, and it would be. When you think of the Cub alumnus and the followers, Bill Murray, Eddie Vedder, I mean, countless stars.
Chopped to third. Peralta retires. Lackey hustling down the line.
You think of the following of this franchise. Even though they hadn't won in 108 years, it's truly remarkable.
A regional team and followers all over the country because they were on a superstation, if you will, for years with Harry and
WGN.
Yeah, right. Steve Stone.
And then Chip and Steve. Yeah.
Here's Ian Happ. Joe has a restaurant down in Tampa Bay, longtime manager there. He is a huge fan of the Cardinals. Grew up in Pennsylvania, used to listen to the games on the reach of KMOX. And I walked into his office a few years ago and I said, would you do an interview with me for radio? He said, absolutely. So we did the interview and I had a KMOX mic flag. And he said, you mind if I could get one of those for my restaurant? I just took it right off the mic and gave it right to him and said, here you go. He said, that will be displayed prominently in my baseball section of my restaurant. I've told the story before, but he grew up and as a young kid wrote Harry Carey, and Harry Carey wrote him back on Busch Bavarian letterhead, and he still has the letter sent to him as a young boy from Harry Carey.
That's a great story.
It really is neat.
Big fan of the Cardinals, as you said, and in attendance against the Yankees. And after Game 5, he and his dad walked from the stands through the center field fence, which was a way to leave Yankee Stadium. On the field.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's the third strikeout for Lynn.
Went through the gate out there. Joe is such a gregarious guy. I mean, good fastball from Lynn up in the strike zone.
Right now he's trying to figure out the right combination, what buttons to push to get his team going.
What have you done for me lately?
Isn't that the truth? 2 outs. Here's Kris Bryant, fly to center, first time up. Reigning MVP of the National League. He's been a Rookie of the Year. And now an MVP. 42 pitches thrown today, 39 of which have been fastballs from Lance Lynn.
You could do that with a fastball, moving it around. Still the best pitch to move from one side of the plate to the other, which in my view is the best way to get hitters out. East and west, and not north and south.
Here's a 1-1. Popped up to the right side. And it's out of play.
You folks who have followed baseball for any number of years, you've heard this about pitchers. Well, he's a sinker baller. All he needs to do is keep the ball down. That's not true. That is, abolish that thought. It's not true. If he pitches down and away, it's a different deal. But outside corner, inside corner. Gibson used to say the plate's 17 inches wide. The middle 13 inches are the hitters. Mine are the outside and the inside 2 inches.
It's a good way to put it. Good way to visualize it.
To visualize it right. What a pitcher's thinking about. Trying not to be too fine early in the count. get ahead and then expand the strike zone. That's a good formula for getting guys out.
The 2-2 pitch. 3-2.
Go from challenging a hitter to teasing a hitter.
Last time out for Lance Lynn, lost to the Rockies, only went 5 innings. It was a byproduct, though, of the previous start. Before that, he had 123 pitches against the Dodgers in a great game against Clayton Kershaw. The high fly ball lifted out to left center. Fowler is back. He looks up and it's gone. Kris Bryant with home run number 12.
Have strength, yes, but lift also. Nobody in baseball has more lift to his swing than Kris Bryant.
Glenn is saying, man, you know, almost look one-handed out in his front foot.
Hit it off the sweet spot toward the end of the bat, but he's strong enough for that lift and with the aid of the wind to hit it out.
Anthony Rizzo walked back in the first. Kris Bryant's dad had read an article and the book that was written by Ted Williams about lift. So that's a left-handed hitter. A lot of natural lift with lefties, as you know. And he said, I'm going to try to teach my son that way. And that's one of the things that they used to work on. A little bit of a slight uppercut from a right-handed batter. Don't see that very often.
No. But that is more in vogue in baseball now than it's ever been.
That's yanked foul onto the roof here at Wrigley Field.
Chris's dad used to teach him to try to hit the bottom half of the ball, and that is so unusual to the way, for instance, if I may use myself, I grew up. It was always the top half of the ball, which obviously does not cause lift.
Now he shifts. Ground balls are gobbled up.
Yeah, they're trying to hit the ball over the shifts. Kris Bryant's a good guy to do it, and has done it successfully.
3-1 pitch to Rizzo. And the second walk issued by Lynn, both to Rizzo. Zobrist. Reminder, the Reds kickoff to summer weekend is June 9th. That day, 30,000 fans 16 and older take home a bobblehead of the 1967 National League MVP. It's Orlando Cepeda, his bobblehead courtesy of AAA. Get your Cardinal Philly tickets, cardinals.com/promotions.
Perucho. Perucho, I believe in Spanish, is baby bull. His father was the bull, El Toro, in Puerto Rico. Perucho was baby bull. What a proud man who could really play the game.
What a nice man, too. Great to have him back as part of the 67 championship. Wonderful. Zobrist grounded out to first. He's 0 for 1. And a high fly ball lifted out to right field. Enough room for Piscotty, knocked down again maybe by the wind.
Wrong part of this yard.
End upon Aaron Hills for one of golf's most anticipated events of the year. Dustin Johnson looks to defend his title. It's the U.S. Open. And you can see that on Fox FS1 and Fox Sports Go.
I guess Dustin Johnson is still the best player in the world from a point standpoint. Missed the Masters this year. Not that.
Sore back.
Yeah.
Hurt his back the day before they would tee off for the Masters. Here's Yadier Molina, struck out swinging first time up. New seats added this year with some of the renovations of the ballpark here at Wrigley Field. Capacity now 41,268. And a bit surprising coming off the World Championship. Now they're packing the place, but not to the level that they did even a year ago. They've been averaging 38,619.
Now the weather in Chicago, certainly one of the reasons for that. The way the teams played, another. You were kidding earlier saying, what have you done for me lately? Well, even after a World Series year, they expected, oh, well, it's easy. You did it last year. And it's so much tougher with the multi-tiered amount of games you have to play.
You have to wonder, and I think the Cardinals went through this with certain players but did a great job of filling gaps. When you go to postseason play, as much as these two franchises have in recent history, it's an extra month of pitching and high stressful innings on those arms. I mean, Arrieta has thrown in the last 3 years about as much as he's thrown in his entire career prior to coming to Chicago. It's not an excuse, but it is something to look at.
Yep.
And they're pitching in May with a 4.98 ERA.
Yeah, they can get by with the pitching they've had, though, if the offense does what it's capable of doing. I know that's a broad statement. Meanwhile, the Cardinals have had the leadoff base runner on 3 of the first 4 innings, and Peralta hit 2 rockets his last time up. One just foul, and then one on a great play by Addison Russell at short to end the inning.
0-1 pitch. Could be 2. Russell, Zobrist the turn, double play. 6-4-3. Well, to further your point, Tim, and it's a small sample size, but on the road trip we talked about the struggles of the offense. Well, the rotation, as you get a look at the State Farm double play, didn't have a quality start until the final game of those 6 games. And the rotation ERA was 9 in those 6 games. So it's not just the offense, as you mentioned, it's the pitching and a little bit of everything.
And speaking of starting pitching, that has been the salvation of the Cardinals this year. No way around it. Their offense has not been good, even though the last 2 games they went 2-1, 2-0 against the Dodgers.
That to me is what is going to be the entire season.
Yes,
like that.
Yeah, the footprint is there.
Cardinals starters have the best ERA in baseball collectively at 3.15. Two-0 pitch to Diaz. Still odd for me looking down at Paul DeYoung, who's at the on-deck circle, and seeing number 11 and not seeing Jose Oquendo. There's been some talk that Oquendo may make some trips to St. Louis, come back, work with some of the players. Right now he's working with those that are at Jupiter, some of the young players, recent draft choices. Here's a 3-1. Foul back, 3-2. Jose truly one of the great instructors in baseball. Middle infield play, base running, just little things.
No, they're not little things.
Well, that's true.
I was correcting happily, by the way.
Yeah. Ground ball that's hit left side. Russell just got Diaz, who points into the Cardinals dugout. They will take a look at this. To the naked eye, he did look out.
Russell hurried that throw, realizing that on that outside pitch, Diaz got a good jump out of the box, and he was out.
Cardinals will not challenge. We are midway through 4 here at beautiful Wrigley Field, and it's 2-1. John Jay now wearing that Cubby blue. With more on that, let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, we had John on the pregame show, and now he's on the other side of the rivalry. He says he still has love for St. Louis and for Cardinal fans. He said he made great friends and some lifelong memories in St. Louis. He is still very close with his ex-teammates, Daniel Descalso, Alan Craig, David Freese, among others. He told me he saw how the Cardinals just celebrated the 1967 World Series team, and he texted all those guys. He said 2021 is right around the corner. Let's go back and celebrate 2011. Dan, that's going to happen at some point for sure.
Oh, that's great stuff. And John actually married a St. Louis girl. DeYoung makes the play. And ironically enough, we were talking about Jay when you have and this is before the game, before we knew Jim was even going to talk about this. Right. You have a championship club. He's a good player on a championship club.
He's a good player on any club, but he's a piece. He's a guy who might be the best two-strike hitter in the game. Not for power, but how many times have you seen him as an opponent or with the Cardinals hit the ball to the left center field with 2 strikes on him, things like that. Doesn't have an overpowering arm, but he's certainly he's a better defensive player than a lot of people give him credit for. Goes back on the ball very well. Good base running. Trained in the Cardinals system. He's a good player.
Miguel Monteiro, a single to right center. First time up. One ball and 1 strike.
Even though the Cardinals have all right-handed starters, I've got to believe if they're to win 2 out of 3 in this road trip against the Cubs, they're going to have to do it with their left-handers out of the bullpen. I think Tyler Lyons is going to be important. I think Brett Cecil will get another shot. Kevin Segrist. I think they're going to be instrumental if the Cardinals win 2 out of 3 in those 2 victories.
6 of the 9 in this lineup. Left-handed batters that Lynn is facing today.
Yeah, tough lineup for a right-hander.
So 2 of which are switch hitters. Last time the Cardinals played a game at Wrigley, with the Cubs being the defending champs, April 14th, 1909. Only 8% of the homes had a telephone. The American flag had only 45 stars. Canned beer, iced tea hadn't been invented yet.
That's great. No canned beer in 1909?
No, sir.
Teddy Roosevelt's second term was just over, I believe. 08 was it. He tried to run about 3 years later in 1912 or 13 on a different party. But Wrigley Field was not here. Wrigley Field's first year, 1914, when it was a member of the Federal League. Short-lived Federal League lasted 2 years when the Cubs played in it. They played as the Cubs in 1916. Title in town, baby.
High fly ball out to left. Sierra backing up, and he makes the catch.
Remember that we were talking about east and west? That's that make him reach fastball just off the barrel of the bat. Good pitch from Lynn.
Leake, Lynn, Martinez, the BJC Healthcare difference makers. Leake first in ERA. Lynn 5th. Martinez 10th. And don't look now, and it might be crazy to say this, maybe not. Adam Wainwright is putting himself in the conversation to maybe be an all-star. He's second now in wins in the National League.
I'm telling you, what are you, 6-3 now?
6-3.
Unbelievable how important that game was yesterday. There's a poem that's 80, 90 years old, written by A.E. Hausman, the title of which is To an Athlete Dying Young. And the gist of which is that wouldn't it be nice if athletes died at the pinnacle of their career so they couldn't see the downside? Well, just 2 months ago or 6 weeks ago, we were talking, as everybody was talking, about Adam Wainwright and the downside of his career. That talk is non-existent now, to his credit. It has been something to see. It really has.
Game of adjustments. He's gone away from the cutter. Still throwing it, but not nearly as much. He said he put his cutter in timeout. You've been a bad boy, Cutter. So
put him in the corner. Put him in the corner along with his pitches.
And you're seeing a lot of variations on the speeds of all his pitches. The cutter sometimes a little harder, a little softer. Curveball at one point hit 65 miles an hour yesterday. Then he'd throw it a little harder. The fastball around 88 to 90, spotting it. It's been fun to watch. Three and one on Schwarber.
I mean, too, Dan, fans are fans. And look, we as announcers are fans. We're fans of the team. We would rather see the Cardinals win, of course. But nobody can say, as you look at Adam Wainwright from yesterday's game against the Dodgers, he won that game 2-0, hit a 2-run home run. But I mean, people were not saying, people were saying, oh, talking about Adam. Adam's going down. I mean, broadcasters were. I mean, you have to tell the truth, right? And then, boom.
Yeah.
Something happened.
No question.
And it, you know, it may not last, but it certainly has been, as you said, fun to watch.
Molina did hold on. Schwarber strikes out for the second time. He was ahead in the first at bat 3-0. This one 3-1. Strikes out twice. To Young. Broken bat, soft liner. Hit to second base back in the second inning. He played in 46 games at AAA. Hit .294 with good power. 11 home runs. Oh, 2 the count. Two on our score, top of 5. Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin here in the booth. Jim Hayes is somewhere here at Wrigley.
Sounds like he's wandering around.
He might be.
I tell you, those last 2 pitches of that last inning really hurt Molina. We've seen a couple go into that heel of the hand and then coming off. You could see him just taking that glove off, and just sometimes you become so disgusted with pain. And not trying to make too much of it, but I guarantee you, having been back there, it's a tough job.
That's why it makes it amazing to me, the catchers that are very good offensive players.
Unbelievable.
Because of the hands.
Yeah, right. Your hands are always sore, depending on the pitching staff you have. The better the staff, the sore the hands.
And a fly ball lifted out to right center. Who wants it? Hayward cutting in front of Happ for the out. Magneuris Sierra with an RBI single to center drove in Diaz back in the second. He's a part of our Kia in the driver's seat. And the Cardinal hit streaks to start a Cardinal career, and his the best all time since 1913. Fun to watch. Speed is fun. Corners are in, anticipating a potential bunt. With his hit, his lackey stares at the third base umpire Carlos Torres, not once but twice, still staring at him. Sierra is now 12 for 31 to start his major league career.
Most troubled organ in Lackey's body is his stomach. Not his arm, his stomach.
The thing is, if you're a fan, you see him once every 5 days. He's nasty, mean, growling out there, yelling at people. I'm here to tell you, he's not a bad guy.
No, not at all. We don't mean to imply that. It just at the competitive level is it's excessive.
He is one of 5 pitchers currently in baseball who are above the age of 35 and that have 10 or more starts. As Sierra swings and misses. Colon is 44. R.A. Dickey 42. Bronson Arroyo is 40. Lackey 38. CC Sabathia is 36.
Sabathia coming back like he has been coming back.
Well, he's reinvented himself in a way with that cutter.
Cutter and changeup. Cutter into right-handed batters, changeup away.
Lance Lynn trying to get a bunt down first time up, and then it turned into a double play. You were wondering about sacrifices by pitchers. There have been
attempted.
Yep, there have been 17 attempted by the Cardinal pitchers, and 11 of 17 have been successful by the Cardinal pitchers.
Surprised it's that high.
And if you include today, Lynn has tried 6 times and only 2 successful. So there you go.
There you go.
1-2 pitch and a strikeout. Back-to-back Ks for this afternoon for John Lackey. Midway through 5, and it's 2-1. Cardinals on top. T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball break. What's happening around the game? Clayton Kershaw will go tonight against the Brewers at Miller Park. He'll face Jimmy Nelson. Steven Strasburg is at the A's. He's 6-1. And Pujols, Albert, no home runs last night. 599 of his career. It was this date in Cardinals history that Albert Pujols was drafted by St. Louis. And little did we know, did anybody know, what was about to unfold. It's Russell.
A surefire Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir.
What a player.
Russell here, then Lackey and Happ.
What a base runner. What a defensive player. What a guy whose mind is always in the game.
I used to really enjoy the synergy defensively between Molina and Pujols. The pickoffs, how they would know where each other was, and the fact that they were willing to take a chance with the game on the line. There was no fear with those two players. You know, some guys they just don't. They want to take that chance. They don't want to throw it back.
Oh yeah.
You know,
believe me, they're safety first players.
Yeah.
And they're okay players, but they're not that step above.
Russell struck out his first time up. One of the best games of the year we've seen. We mentioned the name of Clayton Kershaw. He'll go tonight against Milwaukee. He was on the most recent road trip. Lynn and Kershaw. Kershaw went 9. Lynn went 8. Clayton, by the way, 4 strikeouts away from 2,000. He'll be the 3rd fastest to get there, behind Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez.
That's impressive. Wow.
Max Scherzer will actually bypass Kershaw when he gets to 2,000. He's 19 away. He'll do it faster than even Clayton. A swing and a miss, and Russell strikes out, and that's 5 today for Lance Lynn.
Boy, Lance Lynn humped up on that one. Little extra on that fastball. Extra juice.
Lackey grounded out to 3rd, first time up. I was talking with Lance yesterday in the clubhouse. He also, by the way, if you didn't know him every 5th day, is a really good guy. A lot of fun to be around. He said, I may have to go up and in on Lackey. He's got a couple of hits on me. I may have to just put one up and in.
Well, if he goes up and in, he should tell his outfielders, because they're too deep right now. Dexter Fowler way too deep. 5 feet too deep in center field. And Piscotty, even with the wind blowing as it is, if Lackey's going to hit it, probably he'll hit it to right field.
I should qualify the statement by saying he was kidding.
Oh, of course.
But you never know. Somebody might say, well, wait a minute now. Hold on.
Remember, Dan, we're part of social media. Social media.
I really have enjoyed your Twitter account over the years.
Yeah, thank you.
Little chopper that's just foul.
That's some analysis. If he puts it in play, he'll probably put it in play in right field. He pulls the ball foul down the 3rd baseline.
There it is. He's 2 for 2 coming into play today.
Throw him a curveball or a slider. He did come inside. He's listening to you.
All right. Lackey says, all right, let's look here. When's Lance coming back up? Two-2 pitch. And a grounder that's hit to short. Diaz to his left, and he makes the play. Don't miss Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, Metallica. They're going to bring their worldwide tour to Busch Stadium this Sunday night. Great tickets still available. Cardinals.com/Metallica, produced by Live Nation. Lynn has allowed just 2 hits. The first was a base hit in the second by Monteiro, and a solo home run by Kris Bryant in the 3rd. Struck out 5. He's walked 2. And a fastball. Happ is 0 for 2. Mentioned that this is the 6-year anniversary of the debut of Lance Lynn. On a good run. Those that have 65 or more wins, a sub 3.5 ERA, only 7. He's on the list. And it's a who's who in Major League Baseball. Kershaw, Greinke, Bumgarner, Cueto, Wainwright, Strasburg, and Lynn. Not bad at all. And his agent is on speed dial to me saying thank you. He's a free agent to be. Keep saying these things. Both Lynn and the Cardinals have said they will more than likely address the situation one way or another around the All-Star break. And Lynn has said publicly he'd like to stay in St. Louis.
Lance, like all of us, is auditioning today.
3-2 out of play.
Lance went to that hotty-toddy gosh almighty school, Ole Miss, down in Oxford, one of the great literary centers in the country.
Ever been to the Grove at Ole Miss?
Have I ever? It's only 80 miles from Memphis.
Love that place.
Yeah, me too, brother.
Strikeout for Lance Lynn. Coming up the top of the lineup, and that means Dexter Fowler in his return to Wrigley. A home run. When we come back, we'll take a look at some history he made as well. Chicago is brought to you by your local St. Louis area Volkswagen dealers and by Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less. Beautiful, gorgeous afternoon here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Game 7, leading off Dexter Fowler, and this home run set the tone early in that game. A memorable night for baseball. And then today, returning to the Windy City, what does he do? A home run. And he'll lead it off here in the 6th inning.
Home run in the World Series against Corey Kluber. And today, of course, John Lackey.
He came back to the Cubs last year after he rejected a multi-year deal with Baltimore, accepted a qualifying offer. 1-year deal from Chicago. He knew it was going to be 1 year. He was going to hit free agency and really bet on himself and got a 5-year, $82.5 million contract. Here's a 1-1 pitch. There have been 11 players specifically with the Cardinals plaque in the Hall of Fame. 11 for the Chicago Cubs. Several Hall of Famers have played for both these franchises. No players have won a world championship with both St. Louis or the Chicago Cubs.
That's kind of an easy thing because the Cubs haven't won before last year since 1908, of course.
Big article today about Dexter in the local paper, the Sun-Times. Do the Cubs miss him? Written with the perspective that they really do. They miss his personality, and they miss the production from the leadoff spot. He contributed to a .381 on base percentage by their leadoff hitters a year ago. The 3-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play.
Well, the unfairness of that article that was written by Rick Morrison of the Sun-Times. The unfairness was, do the Cubs miss Dexter Fowler hitting .230 as he is for the Cardinals right now?
Right.
I mean, you got to include that. Can't say we miss Dexter Fowler, period. Got to talk about what he's done the first 2 months with the Cardinals, even though he does have 8 home runs.
But when the Cardinals signed him, Tim, it was, you know, the perfect fit for what they needed. They needed a leadoff man.
No
they
question.
needed a center fielder.
Yep.
And then you're doing it by taking him away from your arch rival. And that part of it is true. I mean, they do miss him.
Sure.
And Fowler strikes out against John Lackey. Pat Hughes, longtime radio voice of the Chicago Cubs. There he is on the left. Ron Coomer on the right. He'll be inducted into the Irish American Baseball Hall of Fame at Foley's Pub in New York.
I know that pub well.
Congratulations to Pat, one of the real good guys in the game. He's got a collection of CDs on some of the great voices of the game. It's a compilation of Jack Buck and Bob Uecker and so many others. You can order it. Go to baseballvoices.com. And very nice man.
I'll take care of the Irish, Danny Boy.
Oh yeah. Mick Lachlan. Mick Carver. Ron Coomer there on the right. Longtime Minnesota Twin, but Chicago native.
Good changeup from Lackey. Well, you knew going in that both of these starting pitchers were going to be innings eaters. They're two of the best in that category in baseball, locked up today. And if you eat innings, that means you're doing well. That means you're pitching into the 6th, 7th. That'll require a look.
Oh yeah. He just pointed down to the home plate umpires. This pitch low, is it down?
John seems to, after a missed call like that, in his mind, rubs the ball up after that.
And a swing and a miss. Strikeout of Carpenter. He's 0 for 3. If you can't catch the games on television, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app, take Fox Sports Midwest and Cardinals baseball with you wherever you go. So that's 6 strikeouts. The Cardinals, their 4 hits, all coming in the first 2 innings. Strike 1 on Piscotty. John Mozeliak, the Cardinals general manager, is on this trip. He said after the Cubs won the World Series, he didn't sleep well for about 4.5 weeks.
Really?
That's what he said after the World Series. He did say, though, however, he said, you know, you see your arch rival win and you think, okay, we got to go to work. How do we beat them? What do we have to do for next year to be a better club? He He said, but generally speaking, the Indians and the Cubs in the World Series, that was great for the game of baseball.
No question about that. The great World Series in a while. Of course, if you're a baseball fan, they're all great. Different colors, textures, excitability, great pitching, great hitting. Fun time of year.
2-2 pitch. Stays away.
The odd thing about Game 7 was the timing of the rain delay.
No doubt.
And the length of it. 15 minutes, and that was it. Now plays resume. Cubs had a big top of the 10th, won the game, won the series.
Jason Hayward in his speech in the weight room, the visiting clubhouse in Cleveland. And just outside, 2-out walk. What's on tap is presented by Budweiser. Fun to watch Mike Leake. This would be a great matchup. John Lester 3-3. Leake is 5-3. We'll come your way at 12:30 tomorrow. It'll be game 2 of this series.
John Lester, the left-hander for the Cubs, the only Cub pitcher with a complete game this year.
And he's really good at home. He's a different pitcher.
He is. You're right.
Here at Wrigley. Molina, ground ball that's hit to short. Force play at second. Cardinals strand a runner, their second of the afternoon. Lynn back to work, pitching well when we come back. Big story heading into this series, in particular today. Dexter Fowler reuniting with his former Cub teammates, receiving his championship ring. First plate appearance back. A home run into the bleachers in right. And a solo shot. Welcome back, Dexter. Made his presence known right away, and it's 2-1, bottom of the 6th. Well pitched on both sides thus far. This could be a big inning for Lance Lynn. You're in the 6th, one-run ball game.
Meat of the order.
Rizzo, Zobrist coming up.
Meat of the order. Yes, sir. Thinking the same thing.
Kris Bryant with a solo home run back in the 3rd. That was his 12th and his 24th driven in.
You hit a home run, you can eliminate one pitch during the early part of a count. That's a slider. Hit a ball off the slider. Hanging slider on a 3-2 count. So he gets 2 fastballs his next time up. In order to be a good hitter, you've got to enter the mind of a pitcher. It's very, very important. think along with him.
1-2 the count.
I asked Ted Williams once if he guessed when he was hitting. He said, I guess. All hitters guess. Look area, pitches, what you've done prior times at bat.
2-2. Big part of the 5-year rebuild here in Chicago. Man at the plate, Bryant. Man on deck, Rizzo. Theo Epstein hired by the Cubs in October of 2011. Cardinals were 90-72 that year. Cubs finished 19 games behind them. And then 5 years later, the Cubs win by 19.5 over the Cardinals. Right in your living room. A little bit high. Theo Epstein got busy. 56 player transactions in total. $495 million spent in free agency over the 5 years.
That David Ross.
That is David Ross. High fly ball. Right center. Oh, who wants it? It's Fowler cutting in front of Stephen Piscotty.
You got to have a little more. You can say, I got it. I'm not sure Piscotty heard him. The ball is tailing toward Piscotty, hit by a right-handed batter. You do take those things into consideration. Even though normally the center fielder is the captain. I suppose. That could change, though.
Here's Rizzo, a couple of walks, and there is ball 1. Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. Most RBIs against the Cardinals since 2012. Rizzo, then Pedro Alvarez, Jay Bruce, Ramirez, the former Cub, and Joey Votto. Theo Epstein broke the curse in Boston, 86 years. The Cubs 108.
Curse here in Chicago going back about halfway, 108 years, 1945, during the World Series. The guy with his goat. It's the dumbest curse I've ever heard. And for anybody to buy into that is just stupid.
I remember we were doing a game here at Wrigley, and I said, why do you think, Tim, the Cubs haven't won? And you went back to drafts and player development. There you go.
There you go, baby. Ain't no goat involved.
I look at it like this. Theo Epstein walked into a pretty good situation in Boston. That lineup was very good when he arrived, and they were going to spend money. I think the impressive thing, what he did, though, was after that. And look at some of the draft classes that he put together to help them win again in 07. Set up 13 winning. And then you look at what he's done here. There are a lot of good young players at this club drafted and now are in the major leagues.
Not only winning in 2004, but securing the future of the Red Sox. Very important. Cardinals have done the same thing. Develop and win. That's a very difficult combination to have. To win and continue to develop and replace the players you're going to miss. Nobody knows that better than Mo.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Ben Zobrist. Start moving those hands from the left side of the plate. Little twitch. And he looks at a strike. It's a unique way to hit.
Like churning butter.
Tyler Lyons throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. The new look bullpen. would imagine the guys down in the bullpen miss the good and the bad of the interaction with the fans.
Yeah, I suppose. Who really appreciates it are the outfielders who have to track over that hump down there where the pitchers warm up. Key pitch here. Madden has been known to hit and run in this situation with this tandem.
2-1, now 3-1. Pitch count at 101 for Lynn. So 2 starts ago, 123, third highest that he had thrown in a game. Short outing last time out, and now at 101 today here at Wrigley.
Well, you've got 3 left-handers coming up after Zobrist, the switch hitter. So if Mike Matheny wants to make a move, if there's a walk of Zobrist or a hit, Lyons would be the viable guy that Mike is thinking about. Pretty common sense there.
3-1 pitch. 3-2.
Zobrist thought it was high, and it might have been.
Chevy Foxtrots.
High part of the strike zone.
I thought 3 nights ago that was a terrible major league game, and the strike zone was minuscule, it's tiny. Runner goes, pitch taken outside, and hit the runner Rizzo.
Lucky for the Cardinals. Not lucky for Rizzo. But had that ball gotten through, I'm not sure that DeYoung was backing up that play. Looked to me like Diaz with the naked eye. Diaz was about 3 feet on the other side of second. He had to be. We'll see. I see no DeYoung, so that ball gets through, and Rizzo goes to third. Hit the shoulder, and then I think the bottom of the helmet, and sure enough, Matheny will make a move right here.
It's reminiscent of against the Cubs earlier this year. Stephen Piscotty, 1 trip around the bases, hit 3 different times.
Yeah.
So that'll be it for Lance Lynn. Back-to-back walks. His day is through. The Cardinals with Hayward coming up. Turn to the lefty Tyler Lyons in our Chevy call to the pen. Back with more in a moment. With that throw by Yadier Molina, I mentioned this, and here it is. Our producer Brian McCann doesn't miss a beat. So here it is. Piscotty hit by that pitch, goes to second, boink. Then on an infield play, a rocket off his helmet. I don't think we had ever seen that before. For one guy, 1 trip around the bases.
And that ball was thrown by Javier Baez, who has the strongest arm among infielders in baseball.
So the Cardinals go to Lyons. There's the slider against lefties, and it makes a lot of sense. Tyler Lyons so far this year throwing that slider about 53% of the time. Hayward with a drive into deep right. Piscotty back at the wall, and it drops. A run will score, and this game is tied.
His depth was fine, but his windage was wrong. Stephen Piscotty went back to the wall, but the ball dropped about 5 feet to his right. Trouble. It's a tough sun field, granted. But that ball's got to be caught. You can see the runners. Rizzo doesn't know what to do. Had Piscotty come up with that ball in a hurry, they may have a shot on Rizzo at home plate. But he couldn't find the handle after the ball dropped. It's going to be scored a double, but a ball that should have been caught. Cardinals just do not have the type offense to make those types of mistakes on defense.
So the intentional walk to Monteiro. You wouldn't have dreamed of this earlier in the season, to load him up for Schwarber.
Yeah, that's why I've got to pitch to Monteiro. As you know, there's going to be a pinch hitter for Schwarber, don't you? I mean, that's what.
Yes,
that's what I would do.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got lefty against lefty and first base open. So use the lefty against lefty. But Mike Matheny chose not to do that. And now he's going to bring in the right-hander.
So Matt Bowman will come in. Lyons gives up the sun-aided, wind-aided double on a ball that should have been caught. This game tied at 2-2, but it's turning into a wild affair here at Wrigley. Not surprising. Up at Phillips 66, 8 gallons or more now until September 25th. Receive up to 50% off on a pair of tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more information, visit cardinals.com/Phillips66. So Matt Bowman, after the intentional walk of Monteiro, you'd have to say that with the intentional walk, he knows With Schwarber coming out, that he's with a lefty on there, he's going to go to the right-handed Almora, and that maybe this is the matchup that he wanted, and now Almora is pulled back for John Jay.
Yeah, I mean, John Jay, we talked about it earlier, a great two-strike hitter. A guy who's always going to make contact. He's from the left side. He's got speed to get down to first to break up a double play, unless he hits the ball very well. I think if you're Mike Matheny, from my standpoint, I would have gone with the lefty-lefty, the Lions against Monteiro matchup.
There's strike one on Jay. Inning started with a flyout, then Rizzo walked, Zobrist the walk. Lions came in, Hayward the double in right, Monteiro the intentional pass. Nothing in two, the count.
Tell you, if you're the left fielder, and Sierra doesn't know these hitters, but you've got to play John Jay like a right-handed hitter with no power whatsoever. How many times have we seen him dump balls with two strikes into that little gap behind the shortstop and the left fielder and the center fielder?
Strikeout or a double play for Bowman. 0-2, just missed.
Boy, that was close. Just inside.
The 1-2. Spoiled by Jay.
That's the type of swing, though, that John Jay has. That has kept him in the big leagues.
316 against the lefties.
I said it earlier, Dan, and I think it's true. I think he's the best two-strike hitter in baseball. Both those pitches inside. That was closer.
By the way, that is Contreras at first base, which was part of the moves that are what has transpired here on both sides. 2-2, could be 2, 4, 6, 3 with the double play. Bowman gets the key double play.
Work like a charm for Mike Matheny.
Is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. This is the Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. Well, since Matt Bowman has come into baseball, he's now induced 11 double plays, none bigger than that one, as John Jay takes over in left field. Contreras behind the plate.
Sometimes after a lot of stuff has happened, you look back on an inning and you see that those devilish walks always play a part, don't they?
Yes, they do.
1 out, nobody on, 2 straight walks to Rizzo and Zobrist. And that set the scene for at least 1 run, a misplayed ball in right field. Some managerial maneuvering by Mike Matheny. He got away, not only got away with it, worked out beautifully for Mike and the Cardinals as they get Jay on a double play.
So it works for Mike, and on the flip side, Joe Maddon goes for broke. He's got 4 available bench players at the start of play. He used 3 in that inning, so he's got Javi Baez left, and that's it, and we're tied late in this game.
That's a very good point. It's funny how the turns of baseball can do, I mean, that's why it's just such a marvelous sport, particularly in the National League.
Peralta lines it out to left, sinking, and caught by John Jay.
I'll tell you, Johnny Peralta's locked in. He's had 3 at-bats. He's 0 for 3 today. But those are at-bats that Cardinal fans are used to seeing from Johnny Peralta. He's hit the ball hard 3 times in a row.
It brings in Aledmys Diaz. The pitch count at 90 for John Lackey, pitching in to this 7th inning. Last home run was over a month ago for Diaz. Strike 1.
Unless it's a mistake, John Lackey's not going to come inside to Diaz. Right-handed pitchers have been going away, away, away to Aledmys. Not that far away.
Not quite that far.
No.
One ball, 1 strike. Diaz singled to center. That was back in the 2nd, driven in by Sierra and grounded out to short. Here's a 1-1.
First time Lackey has dropped down this afternoon.
Two and 2. Carry 2 lefties, Brian Dunsing and Mike Montgomery. Davis, Edwards, Grimm, Rondon, Stroke, Uehara from the right side of the pen for the Chicago Cubs. And the 2-2 pitch. Reaching for it, ground ball that's hit to third. Kris Bryant makes the play. There's 2 down. The Cardinals do not have a hit against Lackey since back in the 2nd inning. June 11th, kids 15 and under entering with a ticket can feel like the pros. The Rawlings Kids Baseball Glove featuring 2 Cardinals logos. And that's coming up June 11th. The Cards and Phillies at cardinals.com/promotions.
In those 3 2/3 innings, Dan, the Cardinals have had 1 over the limit, 1 over the minimum. And that was the walk to Stephen Piscotty with 2 out and nobody on in the 6th.
Lackey had walked 2 in that time period, but Molina raced on the double play.
Right.
Kevin Zobrist is throwing in the Cardinals pen. Sierra is on deck, and the 1-0 pitch now to Paul DeYoung. Lance Lynn 5 1/3, 2 runs. Then we saw Lyons for 1 batter. Bowman got the double play. The 2-0. Kubota power stats. Cardinals late in games, 7th inning or later, 23 home runs, tied for 6th in all of baseball. Hit sharply to third, but right into the glove of Kris Bryant. On this beautiful Friday afternoon at Wrigley, it's time to stretch. The hot corner at third base. The Cardinals go in order. It's 2-2. FS1 and Fox. The Cardinals continue their series in Chicago. That's on Fox Sports Midwest. Coverage starts at 12:30. FS1, Braves and Reds at 2:30, followed by the Pirates and Mets at 6 on Fox. All the games are streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Addison Russell will lead it off. John Lackey at the on-deck circle. Russell is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts and the 1-0. Line into right, backing up a step or two, then coming in, it's Piscotty. John Lackey's had 99 pitches, so Joe Madden extending him a little bit in this game, and why not? He's been very good, especially after inning number 2. And it's worth repeating, they are down to one position player, Javi Baez.
That's one of the reasons Baez isn't hitting right now. You almost have to reserve him.
You go into extra innings, you got a shot to win it, you want to use it.
Yeah, you pinch hit Baez right here, you're out, and then you have an injury to, I know it's a long shot, but you have an injury to another player, and you got to bring in a pitcher to play that position.
Then you got to think about your emergency catcher in those spots. They use Contreras. So he went for it there in that 6th inning. 0-2 pitch.
That's not a knock at Madden because you've got to do that. He was forced into that play. Only the double play by John Jay, a rare double play. Nicely turned by Diaz at short in particular.
And the 1-2. Strikeout for Bowman. Top of the lineup, and Ian Happ 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. There's ball one. Looking ahead to the 8th, the Cardinals have Sierra. Pitcher spot in the top of the lineup. Fly ball out to shallow left, and it drops in for a hit. Sierra spins, fires into second, and Happ hustling all the way, puts himself in scoring position with a double.
Nobody has ever had the solution of placing players where no ball is ever hit. No way, down the left field line, an easy double for Happ. You've got Zobrist warming up. If you do get to Rizzo, you can employ a double switch, perhaps. That'll save the bullpen a little.
Yellowwood bringing the lumber. The 2 home runs hit today.
With Michael Milken and your interview with him before the game, rather appropriate. Would have had 2 home runs for Cap Cure if it were today. When is it? Father's Day on June 18th.
That's right. Here's a 1-0 inside to Kris Bryant. Well, you've fallen behind here, 2 balls and no strikes.
You got the left-hander ready to come in for Rizzo.
That's where I'm going.
All right. Making sense.
You want to deal with Bryant 2-0 against Bowman, or lefty on lefty matchup with Rizzo?
This is about as obvious a pitch around as imaginable. No sign from Matheny in the Cardinal dugout to walk him intentionally.
Three and one. Rizzo against Zobrist, if you're wondering, 3 for 21. Does have a home run, 5 strikeouts. Something to keep in mind. 3-1 pitch. And a high fly ball into center. So Bowman, after falling behind 3-0, gets Kris Bryant.
Great job by Bowman.
A good matchup here. Our Chevy call to the pen. So Carl Edwards Jr. being used here in relief of Lackey. The longest he had gone in a game was 7 innings back on May 9th for Lackey. Last 3 starts prior to today, 5 1/3, then back-to-back 5-inning starts. And so because of the short bench, Lackey hit for himself, and now it's Edwards.
That was a great pickup by you, partner. That was your doings that last inning. You were right on the money. I mean, John Lackey, how many times you see that in a tie ball game, the starting pitcher hitting, knowing that it's futile to go to the bench because he's your last guy.
That's right. So here's Sierra against Edwards, who's been sensational out of the pen for the Cubs.
This guy's been about as automatic as anybody in the National League. Good curveball, good fastball, hard thrower, can get it up to 97 miles an hour. Wanted the curveball on that second pitch. Went around, it appeared.
Sierra, an RBI base hit. It was back in the second inning. So John Lackey here today, 7 innings, 2 runs on 4 hits. Cardinals did not pick up a base hit after the second against him.
1 base runner.
Struck out 6, walked 2, gave up a home run to Dexter Fowler. And it's 3-1.
Excuse me, Dan, I'd take here. Give him a chance to get wild. You're going to get the same pitch 3-2 as you get 3-1. Make him throw 2 straight strikes.
3-1 pitch. Good call. Taking inside, leadoff walk. Now remember, it's not Monteiro behind the plate. Monteiro came in to this ball game having not thrown out a base stealer this year. He was 0 for 16.
Oh my gosh.
And the same can't be said though for Contreras. He has a cannon back there.
He can make up a lot of mistakes with good jumps off of first base with that arm he's got. Chris Bosio, the pitching coach, Boz out to talk to Edwards. Very unusual. Got a first pitch strike and then 4 straight balls to Sierra. Thing about Sierra, he's the best by far Cardinal shot with a runner on base. That's what speed gives you.
Ray Garcia will pinch hit. Carl Edwards Jr., originally drafted by Texas, eventually dealt to Chicago in the Matt Garza deal. And last year, he's a strikeout pitcher. Nearly 13 Ks per 9. They'll hold it first. Bryant in on the grass at third.
I would imagine Mike Matheny will try to bunt at least the first strike or the first pitch. Thing about Edwards, he's 6'5", and it takes him a long time to unravel, and that usually means slow delivery to home plate. Something Sierra's tucked away, or has been told at least.
Another throw over. Showing bunt and looks at a strike. Contreras, there have already been 37 stolen base attempts against him. He's caught 12. Could be a bit misleading though, because he's the primary catcher for John Lester.
Well put. That's still about 30% of the runners.
Yeah.
A little higher, 31.
Back in safely. There has not been a stolen base attempt with Edwards on the mound this year.
How about that, sports fans?
Hello, sports fans.
Hello, sports fans.
And once again, we're delighted to bring this to you.
Well, I mean, come on. If you can't have fun in a game like this, I mean, this is a great game. Lots happen. A lot of strategy. This is fun, baby.
It's great.
Cardinals looking for some way to get to Sierra to third base with less than 2 outs.
And if you're Sierra, and if you're Ali Marmol, the first base coach, you're keenly aware of Contreras and trying to pick off runners at first base. Garcia gets the bunt down.
Good bunt.
Back in safely at second.
Boy, that was a throw behind. Sierra Yadier Molina did that on a walk this year. Threw a ball down to third base behind the runner. Rizzo very heads up. It's a Cub team that doesn't do things in ordinary conventional fashion. Sierra just rounding the back. Whoa, get back.
Contreras, by the way, attempted to pick a runner off 27 times this year already, most in Major League Baseball. So if you're at Sierra at second base, be aware of that too. Here's Fowler.
Well, you can do that because the position of Addison Russell at shortstop is going to be shaded toward the bag anyway, with Fowler up there. Right-hander, no. And daylight play has been used often, as you said, by Contreras.
Dexter Fowler started the afternoon receiving a World Series ring, then homering in his first at bat, lined out to right and struck out. The 2-0 pitch.
For those of you who may not be familiar with the daylight play, it's when the shortstop breaks toward the second base bag, and when the pitcher sees that there's daylight between the shortstop and the base runner, he throws to second. It's a timing play.
And part of that too, if you're the pitcher with the shortstop going back and forth, is to try to make sure when you start your delivery to the plate, you got to make sure he's back in position. He's done that at least initially here.
Right.
There he goes. He's back in position, and the 2-1 taken inside.
And Sierra obviously cannot see behind him, so he's at the mercy of Chris Maloney, the third base coach. Chris Maloney, in essence, is the base runner at second base, but not, of course, with the speed of Sierra.
3-1 pitch. I'm not sure anybody in this ballpark has that speed. 3-2. Carl Edwards Jr. has struck out on the year 27. 11 of those with a curveball.
That's 5 straight curves to Fowler.
3-2, and he walked him. It has been, at least recently, a tough go for Matt Carpenter, but he could atone for that. This is the biggest plate appearance of the afternoon for the Cardinals.
There's Contreras again going to the mound. Talked about it many times this year. The best way to speed up the game, in our view, is to totally eliminate mound visits, bar none.
Pedro Strop, right-hander, starts to throw in the pen. Rosenthal is throwing for the Cardinals in their pen. And there's strike one.
I can just hear it getting a call from my partner this November 22nd or 23rd.
What are you going to say?
And guess what? They have eliminated mound visits.
You did it.
I throw confetti off my roof.
You did it, Tim. Your crusade.
Nothing to it. Nothing to do with it.
Here's the 0-1. Bounce kept in front by Contreras. Nice play.
That's a great play right there. That's a 57-foot curveball that bounced 3 feet in front of home plate. Hit the upper part of the chest protector of Contreras. Watch it hop up. Good play.
You go back to the beginning of last year, so year and a half or so. Matt Carpenter has only grounded into 5 double plays.
It's because he hits a lot of balls in the air.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Now, by seeing Rosenthal throw in the pen, that tells me that O is available today after back-to-back appearances against the Dodgers. So.
Yeah, because Matheny never uses Rosenthal for more than 1 inning.
So O pitched the final 2 games against the Dodgers in those wins. Here's a 1-1 pitch. So just thinking ahead, if Rosenthal, or rather if O is not available, Rosenthal would be your closer if he's available today, which he is. He's getting loose, so it does tell you O is available. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Carpenter. 0 for 3 today with a strikeout.
Still have Zobrist in the hold also. 2 of the 3 hitters up for the Cubs in the 8th inning, left-handers.
1-2. Outside, 2-2. I think you hit upon it right away. The lack of control here for Edwards, and that normally is not the case with him. He's got very good control. So he's only hit into 1 double play in 34 chances this year.
Not seeing these guys a lot and everything. To me, that's too many curveballs from Edwards. I mean, here's a guy with 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Why keep getting in the hole with those breaking balls? 1 almost trouble with a good play by Contreras.
2-2. Inside is Contreras trying to pull it back over the middle of the plate, but it's a ball. So 3-2. Piscotty on deck.
As is his pitching. Mike Matheny rarely sends runners with the count 3-2, even though the speed at second could change that this time. Maybe.
3-2 pitch, not running, and he struck him out. And you've talked a lot about that, how Mike doesn't put a lot of motion going with those runners, but it might be a byproduct of a lot of strikeouts too.
That's exactly right. Steve Hurd of the Elias Sports Bureau said that the other day. We had a conversation, and I was saying that Mike is not one that sends a lot of runners. He said, well, in fairness to Mike, it might be because so many hitters are striking out nowadays. You send the runner, it's suicide. And in that particular case, it was. Even though that was ball 4 to Carpenter. Tried to hold up, it couldn't.
Piscotty is 0 for 2 with a strikeout against Carl Edwards Jr. He has been, though, one of the top hitters with runners in scoring position in his young, brief major league career. 344 since the beginning of last year, his average in these spots.
Cardinals again have not had a hit since the 2nd.
Here's a 1-0. Falling behind again. 2 balls, no strikes.
Now Rizzo. Gotta have fan visits to the mound night. Sometimes just have fans. Just anybody who wants to go out there and slow things down.
It's a special theme ticket.
Yeah.
Cardinals.com/theme.
Yep. Sell about 10, 15 a game.
Anytime you want, you just run out there.
Employee night. Employee go out there. Visit. Slow down.
Here's a 2-0. 3-0. I know he's been a little wild. However, Piscotty, since he's returned, has swung the bat well. He's got a base hit today and a walk. Do you turn him loose on 3-0?
Well, he's a good low ball hitter, and if he gets one down, but Mike Matheny does not like to do that either. You never know.
He has walked. The base is loaded, and that'll be it, I'm sure, for Carl Edwards. And as we say that, Joe Madden, slow walk out of his dugout to the mound. Pedro Strop had been getting loose.
Pedro Strop, by the way, is not necessarily a strike throw.
No.
He can be wild also.
The Chevy call to the pen. Strop to face Molina with the bases loaded here in the top of the 8th when we come back. Out. 70% of the strikeouts by Strop have come on his slider. It's his best pitch. Sliders sometimes can be a little wild.
Awry, absolutely. We've seen that many times with Strop. Sliders in the dirt.
There's the fastball.
Ahead of the fastball.
Bases are loaded. 2-2 our score. And the 0-1.
Thing that Strop has in his favor is that Yadier Molina, more than any other Cardinal, is a free swinger. He will swing at balls out of the strike zone.
Here's a 1-1. Inside, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Ten walks in 17 1/3 innings for Strop this year. The 2-1 pitch. 2-2. On their feet at Wrigley. Steps on the plate. The final out. Ends a threat for St. Louis. Strikeout of Yadier Molina sends us to the bottom of the 8th, and we're tied at 2. Brought to you by Bud Light, famous among friends. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Rizzo, Zobrist, Hayward. Rosenthal coming on here in the 8th. Outstanding work by Matt Bowman. He got the bases loaded double play to end the 6th, and then a scoreless 7th. Really nice job.
One of the reasons it was such a nice job, he got out of a situation that he did not create. And that's a big thing.
Inherited runners.
Yes.
And a fastball taken high by Rizzo, who has walked 3 times and scored a run. Outfield is deep. And the 1-0. Pulled foul. When you hang out over the middle of the plate, you're getting triple digits from Rosenthal, and he turns on an inside fastball. Lefty's only hitting 128 against him.
That's a quick bat.
Hit the other way, slicing towards Sierra. It's over his glove and off the ivy. Throwing to second base is offline.
Plays in the outfield, and neither were errors. A double to right field on a ball misplayed by Piscotty. Now a ball misplayed by Sierra. 2 balls that should have been caught but weren't. And again, the Cardinals do not have the type offense. And facts are facts. There's nothing you can do about it, but you can't make those mistakes defensively. One of the reasons you're in a no double defense is not to have a ball hit over your head.
He is your cleanup man, but do you ask Zobrist to bunt in this spot?
Yes.
Very good bunter. Or do you think he can pull it to the right side for either the out to advance the runner or drive him in?
He's tougher to pull. I mean, a guy throws 100 miles an hour, it's going to be tougher to pull.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Here's an 0-1 pitch by Rosenthal. 0-2. So back in the 6th inning, if you just joined us, this drive off the bat of Hayward, Lions in the game. Piscotty misjudged it, maybe sun in the eyes, regardless, run scored. And then Sierra moments ago. Oh, 0-2 pitch. You need a strikeout pitcher, and certainly that is Rosenthal. 19 1/3, 31 strikeouts on the year.
He is the very definition of a strikeout guy.
And the 0-2 hit the other way, backhanded by Peralta. Looks back, Rizzo out there. Rizzo to third.
Great base running by Rizzo, and it looked like Matt Carpenter was surprised, and really, honestly, the play was in front of him. Johnny Peralta, because of the ball being hit to his right, could only look briefly at second base. And Rizzo didn't budge. I mean, had Peralta thrown that ball to second base, it's a tough play. But Rizzo didn't budge going back to second base. That was just heads-up base running by a good base run.
Infield is drawn in. Jason Hayward at the plate, the former Cardinal. And a drive into center. Backs up Fowler. The Cubs will take the lead. Rosenthal against left-handed batters, throwing his fastball about 85% of the time. And that's something that Hayward despite his struggles, can hit a fastball.
Yeah. Well, he's had a high fastball from Tyler Lyons today and a high fastball from Trevor Rosenthal, both driving in the tying run and the go-ahead run.
If the Cardinals cannot come back and win this game, this is one that stings. And you say, that's a game that got away. Not over yet. 3-2 our score. Here's Contreras. Cardinals will have Peralta, Diaz, and DeYoung coming up. St. Louis could not capitalize in the top half of this inning with 3 walks given to them. Did not score.
I'll tell you, through all this, I hope it was not apparent that we were trying to say that these were routine balls hit to the outfield. I by no means meant that that was a routine ball hit to Piscotty in right field, but it's a ball that's got to be caught by a winning team. And the same can be said the ball that got over Sierra's head. You got to catch those balls if you're going to win.
2-1 the count. Breaking pitch. And it's 2-2. And he struck him out. We head to the 9th. The Cubs have taken the lead. It's 3-2. Inning started. Misplay and left by the youngster Sierra. Taylor to the southpaw to center. Rizzo scores. 3-2 Cubs. Bullpen. Wade Davis has had 1 appearance in the last 2 weeks. Last appearance was 9 days ago. So keep that in mind and see how effective, how sharp he is in this 9th inning.
Yeah, the guy's been working out. He's been throwing, of course, but he's had the funny thing about the Cubs, they haven't played a bottom of the 9th in 8 days. They did not have a bottom of the 9th in the 6 games they lost in California.
And that's inside. When he's pitched, he's been terrific. 18 1/3. The opposition hitting 127 and a .98 ERA.
He's one of the best around. But 2 straight balls to Peralta.
Down by a run, take a strike, maybe 2.
Maybe. Well, you certainly take 2 if the first pitch is a ball.
Deep in the hole. Russell shows off the arm for the first out.
Let me tell you, that is a big league play right there. That ball stayed down on him, and he planted and caught the ball at the same time. Watch. Plant. Good play.
Aroldis Chapman was the Cubs closer at the end of last season. They knew he was not coming back. And Theo Epstein and the management team of the Cubs very aggressive in going out and getting Wade Davis. Here is Aledmys Diaz. Jorge Soler went to Kansas City. And Soler under team control through 2020. Davis, a former starter, moved to the bullpen full-time in 2014. Joe Madden knows all about him from his days in Tampa Bay. Had him there. Now, he was on the DL twice last season, had a forearm issue. The Cubs actually were given permission to take an additional exam before making that deal. So they bring him into Chicago. He's the closer here in 2017.
The thing about Joe Madden, he saw him in a different role with the Tampa Bay Rays. He was a long reliever. Became a starter with Kansas City. And then further a long relief role, and then moved into the stoppers role. He's a good one.
1-2 the count on Diaz, who's 1 for 3. Kansas City, Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Alcides Escobar, all are free agents to be. And Davis was in that group as well, so they've got a lot of decisions coming up with the Kansas City Royals. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Took some off it, and a strikeout of Diaz.
That's a backup slider. That is a vicious pitch that Davis throws. It's almost like he grips it so tightly that the ball is destined to break with that fat spin. It's not a slider with the dime spin, but more a slider with the quarter spin.
Budweiser player of the game. Hayward 1 for 3, double, couple of RBIs. Paul DeYoung, the final hope, and that's ball 1. Packed house here at Wrigley, and they're on their feet. Side. Bryant is there. The Cubs win it. They take game 1, 3-2. Their losing skid stops at 6.